Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Between the Sticks. As you all know, I'm Sahib, this is Nabil, and we're back here for another week, number 4 right now, yeah?
Yeah, episode 4, that's right.
Absolutely. I'm always excited to be here doing what we're doing. As always, a big shout out and a big thank you to everybody who's following, who's supporting. We're loving all the interactions and all the fun we're having with things on social media. And always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe.
Did you like it? Did you subscribe?
There we go.
Yeah, let's go.
There we go.
There we
Ready.
go.
Alrighty. The Cartoon Football Club.
Yes, the Carlton Football Club.
No, the Cartoon Football
Club. I will never
Club.
say that about my football team. I live and breathe this club.
Team.
So, yeah, the Carlton Football Club.
I can just about call them Cartoon Club without the football in the middle of it.
They'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's been a long 30 years. But we'll be fine. Saturday.
I'm still dreaming about premierships.
I see
September.
it. I see it. I see finals as well. We'll talk about the journey there. We can still make it mathematically. That's where I'm at. Anyways, look, shout out to North Melbourne.
1,000,000%.
So I'll give them their flowers. They played really well. They were hungrier. They were tougher.
No. Say what actually happened. They bullied you guys.
Listen, that's what Michael Voss said.
He's the coach of your club.
They were hungrier.
They were bullying you guys.
That's what Michael Voss said.
Imagine.
Also, the media need to give us a break, man. Every footy show in the country.
When's the last time?
Carlton, Charlie Curto, give us a break.
When's the last time you guys won a premiership?
I'm not worried about that. It's
one
bad game. They've just...
One bad game. You guys lost to Richmond.
Man.
This is two 18-year-old teams you've lost to.
Every media outlet in the country. Carlton.
How many goals did Charlie Curto kick on the weekend?
You know McGovern kicked
Donuts.
4. You know McGovern kicked 4.
Yeah, McGovern kicking 4
Ollie
is
Hollands had a
irrelevant.
great game. Nick Haynes had played really well.
Are we actually celebrating
There
five
are
stats?
there are some positives.
What positive out of losing to North Melbourne at the MCG?
We kicked 10-13. So different day, we probably win the game. So tough. Don't get me wrong, but I think there was some shining lights in
a little more than tough, if you
McGovern,
ask me,
Hollands,
personally,
and Haynes. Really, so we got back in the game. We could have stolen it, and if that happened, I would have been very, very happy. But I think there's some plenty of positives. But give Carlton a break.
I'm glad you guys, Carlton supporters, are looking on the bright side of things, like being optimistic. We normally call that delusion.
I know you knew it. I knew exactly where you go with this.
Well, we call that delusion.
Look, I'm not writing off our season. I think if we lose next week and then we lose to Collingwood, maybe.
Brother, you're not winning for the next 6 weeks. I can count all the teams you guys are playing, and you're not beating any of them.
I see the light. I think they'll bounce back against Port Adelaide, and then Collingwood's always a blockbuster. And we should beat them.
We're going to toy with you guys. That's what's going to happen.
We should beat you guys, and you'll hear all about it if that happens. So
that is. You guys, you know what it feels like? You guys are supporting Nigel Thornbury and the Rugrats.
I was waiting for that.
That's what it feels like. That's the Cartoon Football Club.
It's going to turn around.
They don't belong at the MCG. They belong on the Cartoon Network.
100,000 members.
100,000 members. Bro, you guys are giving kids generational trauma.
It's
You're giving people mental health conditions.
Character development. And look, that kid, I think they shouldn't have posted him online or whatever.
The little kid that was crying.
Yeah, they're not good enough.
That is crazy.
The cameras, they should have...
Don't worry about the cameras.
Leave the kid alone, man.
The Cartoon Football Club did that to him.
That's not the Carlton Football Club. Leave the kid alone. It's character development.
That is actually crazy. The fact that you're nitpicking positivities.
No, there's plenty of positives. McGovern kicking 4. I don't know if he's done that too many times at Carlton. He's played back. So
McGovern's been moved forward because there's no Mackay.
He's kicked 4, which is...
And your star forward, Charlie Curno, was having meat pies.
I think he's got a tight calf, so...
Why is he playing?
I'm not too harsh on Charlie. He won the Coleman medal. He's a Coleman medalist.
Why are we bringing up his individual
on the big stage?
Accomplishments from past seasons. We're talking about 2025.
Alongside Cripps, 2-time Brownlow medalist.
Another one you're bringing up.
All Australian. And look, Charlie's got a Coleman medal. He's had one bad game. He'll put it away. He'll bounce back.
Patrick Cripps is rated 213th.
I saw that, but I mean,
in the league.
He was the Brownlow medalist.
Tom De Koning, 154th.
He was in All Australian form.
Wiedering and Charlie Curno.
All Australian form at the start of the year.
There was a police report for them being missing at the MCG on the weekend.
Don't worry, we'll find him at Adelaide Oval this week. So that's the Carlton game, really, in a nutshell.
That's the fallout from the Cartoon Football Club.
plenty.
Now let's talk about an actual football club.
We'll talk about
The Collingwood
the
Football Club.
team that the supposed June premiers, the Collingwood Football Club.
June premiers, July premiers, August premiers,
Yeah,
September
so
premiers,
only
2025 premiers. Don't worry about it, brother.
Only matters.
It matters.
on the
Yeah,
final day in
listen,
September.
we're going to be far better in
Yeah,
place.
You can
than
be
you
all right
guys.
in winter. You can be all right in winter, but remember we were second this time last year. Just putting it out there.
I said this last week as well. Do not compare Hollywood and Carlton to each other,
Just
okay?
putting this on the record. We were second last
Y'all
year.
and Essendon are in the same boat after
No,
after this weekend,
Definitely
actually.
not. Don't
You
compare
guys
us.
and
Don't compare us.
imagine Essendon have kids and they're rubbish. You guys have superstars.
We've got
individual superstars, actually.
I
Individual
appreciate that.
superstars.
That's on
Yeah,
the record.
I agree. I'm not saying you guys don't have good players. You have great players, but they're all individuals. They're all playing tennis on a footy team.
So you know what happens? You just combine those stars and create a bit of magic. But let's talk about the Collingwood game anyway. You mentioned
brother,
you want to bring up
We
my favourite play.
handle business like we usually do. And yes, your favourite player, the league's favourite player, the
my-
country's favourite player, Nicholas Dacos,
Dacos
got
Yeah.
tagged and had 30 and had a
He
field
had,
day.
he had a few kick-ins. He had plenty of kick-ins.
Okay, he had
Yeah.
25. If
More like 20. He had a lot of
okay,
kick-ins.
he had 20 efficient disposals. He had 10
He had a few kick-ins.
cheesies, as you and
Cheesies.
Ken Corns like to call them.
Cheesies, yeah. Had a few kick-ins. So.
He had a few kick-ins. He kicked the goal. He had 9 score involvements. He had 5 clearances,
It's a
a
decent
whole bunch
day
of
out,
inside
so-
50s. He was getting
I
tagged.
think St Kilda are struggling at the moment. That's why.
Don't worry about their struggling. You know what happened?
They're beaten by a lot of
Nick
teams.
Dacos is becoming one of those great midfielders who's learning how to
about
deal with a tag. He's only 22, mind
Still
you.
waiting for his Brownlow. I think Judd won one at 21. If not, memory
Okay,
doesn't serve me correctly.
Does Judd have a premiership medal? Not at
Does.
Carlton.
Yeah.
Not at Carlton. Yeah, that's what I thought.
We'll talk about
Um,
Judd later, actually, funny enough.
Yes, we will.
Put that out there.
But yeah, our little shining star, Nick Dacos, had a great game. He put up a great fight. I'm not going to lie. Some of the tactics that the tagger was using.
Come on, man. It was a love tab.
Brother, I'm
Toughen
talking
up,
about
Nick Dacos.
kneeing people in the back of the hammy to corky them. I'm talking about pinching people, slapping people in the neck and the face. It's a bit.
Yeah, I don't like that. I agree. I hate agreeing.
I'm
with
not
you on
saying
that,
you
but
know
I
you know
agree.
the
I don't
whole
like that,
you know the
yeah.
whole pushing around
not
at the
footy.
contest.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree with
grabbing.
you. That's not
All that's
footy.
fine.
Yeah.
But putting a knee into the back of someone's
That's not footy.
hammies and
That's all.
pinching them
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. That's a bit crazy.
that's fair.
But he got through that. He played well. He helped the team. The roof of Marvel came off when he kicked the goal in the last quarter. And I think more so than that, I think the way the rest of the team gets around him and actually supports him, especially when he's getting tagged, I think that's where it's actually helped, because on the weekend, every time Marcus went past a Collingwood player, someone was
let
putting
him know about it,
yeah,
didn't
absolutely.
they?
They were
Let
putting
him know
an
about it.
elbow or a
Yeah,
shoulder
they
into
did,
him,
yeah.
letting him know like, hey, you're not the only one out here, you know.
He's the only decent player in your team. So of
Who?
course, Nick Dacos. So of course they're gonna
You must
look
have
after.
You
look
must
after
have
the
a
decent-
fresh
one
case of
decent player.
Alzheimer's if you're saying Nick Dacos is the only
Yeah,
decent
they're
player in our
just-
team,
Of
but
course they're gonna look out for him. Yeah. So.
that is crazy. But yeah, we went into sixth gear in the fourth quarter. Handle business.
Handle
Go.
business.
I mean, you were talking a whole lot on the weekend while the game was going on.
Quarter time, he struggled, but fair enough.
That's what good teams do. West Coast and Geelong game. Geelong were only a goal up in the last quarter, and then what they do to West Coast, same thing.
Yeah.
Same script. That's
Sure.
what good teams do. Unfortunately, something the
They're
Carlton
just,
Football
like
Club
I
knows
said,
nothing about.
Premierships aren't won in June.
That's fine.
There's,
But this time, 2 years ago, we were in the same position, and then we all know how that ended. So, yeah, all in all, a great weekend for Collingwood. Not so great for Carlton, and it was even greater for us because Carlton lost and we won.
I mean, you brought up 2 years ago.
I made a
have to
mistake,
bring it-
actually.
I have to bring
Cartoon
up last
lost.
year. I have to bring up last year.
What happened
I
last
mean,
year?
We were second and we played finals. You guys missed out.
Brother, don't say
Right.
we played finals.
Yeah,
You
I
guys
mean,
played
we
half a
played
game of
finals,
football. You guys were nowhere to be found for the first half of that game at the
played
Gabba.
finals. And
The
you-
Queensland Police Force was doing overtime like they had
But,
never done before
we did
to find you guys.
We did play finals. Anyways, we do have to move on.
We absolutely
to
do.
move on.
And we're moving on to our top team and flop team of the week.
Yes.
And I will let you start.
I know where you're going with this, but I'll start. Sydney. Sydney for me, top team of the week.
Yep.
Their stars performed Blakey.
Yep.
Goulden was back. I
Yep.
don't know if he was back last week, but
He was
certainly-
back this week. Yeah,
he was
yep.
certainly back in a big way.
Yep.
Heaney
Yep.
had a dominant day out. Joel
Yes.
Marty kicked 0-6.
Yeah, his inaccurate. That's the same ground last year that he kicked 9 goals
Yeah,
at.
it is. So,
That was very interesting.
yeah, surprise performance. I think it was at Haywood, maybe. I think he also had a good day.
I have a question for you, and it's not to toot my own horn, but did I not ask you boys to tip Sydney?
You did. No,
I said
you
Sydney are
did.
gonna
Put it
win.
in the group chat.
And what was I told?
No,
Thanks for the advice,
we-
but keep it to yourself. One of our lovely mates said, keep the advice
So,
to yourself.
it's a good win by Sydney. And I think they're sitting 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're sitting on 6
Yeah,
wins. So
just
their stars are clicking.
I mean,
the
maybe
late
that's
run
all
for
they
finals.
needed.
Yeah.
Just they needed
So-
their stars to come back, and they needed them to click well.
And they perform well. And
Absolutely.
Your top team.
My top team of the week was my flop team of the week last week, or partially. Brisbane came down to Geelong, went down to the Cattery, and I could almost say had an amazing game, and partially Geelong's inaccuracy probably cost them as well.
Yeah.
I think they kicked something like 6 or 7, 15 or 16 or something like that. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact scores, but yeah, Brisbane went down to the Cattery. No Jackson Payne.
Yes.
Down back for them. Darcy Gardner was a late out before the game.
Yes.
But I think the way their team kind of showed up, their pressure,
They absolutely
the way they moved the ball,
They, on the outside, they just got Geelong on the outside.
and every single time a Brisbane player touched the ball, there was another Brisbane player free
Yeah. They
to get the ball to. Also, they have a young, exciting forward by the name of Logan Morris.
Yes, I was going to mention him. but
He is a gun.
He is. And he's not a big forward. He's not a big
only
forward.
193 if I'm not mistaken, or
he's
190.
not huge, but he's in good form all season, not just this Geelong game, I think.
And mind you, he's filling in a void that a great player in Joe Danaher left.
Yeah, I know. So he's really led that forward line.
Yeah. And he did an amazing job on the weekend again. Kicked 5 goals.
He had a day out.
Absolutely. Against a Geelong team that usually doesn't allow that type of nonsense very easily.
No. Geelong's got a very tight defense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good call for top team of the week.
Absolutely.
My flop team of the week.
Yep.
You mentioned Brisbane. My flop team of the week is Geelong.
Yes.
Now, we've already talked about Geelong
Yep,
and what
yep.
they've lacked. I just thought at the Cattery they were really disappointing. They had, I don't know what it was. They had some white T-shirts. I don't know what the details
Everybody
were.
was blaming that.
Whatever it was.
Yep.
I thought Geelong, GMHBA, I think I tipped them as well. They just
Our whole league tipped them.
So very ordinary.
Yeah,
and
I
thought
agree.
better. Did have a Brisbane supporter, friend of ours, who said to tip Brisbane before the game, and I ignored
He
him.
did.
So,
He did. He
shout out
actually
to this
did.
person. He was absolutely spot on.
Hey, maybe you boys should listen to some of us when we say tip and play.
He called
we
it,
were trying to
yeah.
help you
He
guys.
sent a text saying, "Yeah, you should have tipped Brisbane." Oh, I was like, but fair enough. And we've spoken in detail about that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll leave it there. Geelong, ordinary. And your flop team of the week. I can't wait for this one.
You know
gonna be a
what?
surprise.
No. You know what? I'm not even going to elaborate on it. I'm going to just say one sentence and I'm going to leave it at that. My flop team of the week is the Carlton Football Club.
Here we go.
That's it. That's all I'm going to say. We've already talked about that in depth. And you know what? The mental health conditions the Carlton Football Club are giving you guys is enough. We'll just leave it at that. That's my flop team of the week.
We're going to bounce back. We'll be fine. Anyways,
love the delusion.
leave it there. We are going to do something a little bit different this week. We're
Wanna have a
doing
bit of fun.
Yeah, a little bit of fun.
Yep.
Who would you rather? So we're going
Game
to be
of who would you rather?
naming footballers and selecting who would you rather. So
Yes,
to
yes.
start with,
Let's go.
I've got Prime Fev v Prime Buddy.
Ooh, I think that's
tough.
a pretty good one,
Yeah.
but I have to go with Prime Buddy. As great as both those players were, I think Buddy kicking 13 goals.
13.
I think it's the only player that we witnessed to kick 100 goals in our
He
lifetime.
kicked them from everywhere.
His guy on the run, those 2 goals against Essendon.
Unbelievable.
down the MCG week.
Ah,
The things he did to defenders, yeah, Buddy would have to be my
scary
pick for that
footballer.
one.
Look, as much as I love Fev, and he
Yeah.
was the shining light in some dark times.
Yep.
And also, fun fact about these two:
Yep.
back in 2008,
Yes.
Fev and Buddy. Last game of the season.
Yeah. Hey, you'll have some
You
debt
gotta
to
watch
collect
that,
with the Hawks for what they did to Fev.
Yeah, look.
How many goals did he kick that night?
19. He kicked 7. No, he kicked 8. Prior to that game, he's never kicked 9. He ended up with 8.
And they sent the whole Hawthorn defence and midfield
Bloody Jared Harapet down
back to stop him from...
Finished on 98. Finished on 99.
Finished on 99. But how crazy would it have been if we'd seen
amazing.
2 guys kick 100 goals in the same night?
Would have been amazing.
Alistair Clarkson, you robbed Brendan Favola of that.
Hurt us.
Alrighty, moving on to the next one. Matthew Richardson, prime Matthew Richardson versus prime Nick Riewoldt.
This is another good one.
Yes,
This is another very good one. Look, I like Richo.
Yep.
But prime Nick Riewoldt was something else.
Yeah.
5 All-Australians, but forget the All-Australians. He took one of the great marks of our game.
2004?
Yeah, 2004, yes. Spot on.
Yes.
Running back with a flight. Anyone that hasn't
wiped out 3 or 4 players in the process.
Unbelievable, man. He just leaped. And
that was a freight train that was not going to be stopped.
I think he's in the conversation as one of the best half-forwards to have played the game.
I agree.
Just a gun runner,
Not to take anything away from Matty Richardson as well.
But, yeah.
It was a great, again, a very great player in a very dark time for Richmond.
Yeah.
But I think Nick Riewoldt, his leadership and the way he just kind of carried that team.
Such a good player.
Absolutely. Moving on.
Next one, prime Gary Ablett and prime C. Judd.
Oh, I think we can't go past the Little Master.
The Little Master.
Gary Ablett Jr. I think outside of all his accolades and all his achievements, just the pure joy he brought to the game, the way he moved and he ran.
So good. At two different clubs too.
And he achieved, outside of maybe a premiership, he achieved everything at both those clubs.
100%.
All Australians, Brownlows, best and fairest.
Carried Gold Coast.
He was Gold Coast's first everything.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, prime Judd for me.
Killing you a bit.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah,
I was going to say, it's killing you a bit, isn't it?
I love Gary Ablett.
Yeah.
I can't go past prime Judd.
Yeah, fair enough.
As much as I want to say
fair
Ablett,
enough.
Judd at his explosive best, at his West Coast best, was just unbelievable. That game, kicked 5 against Brisbane.
Yes, he did.
And one of my favourite stats, he was one of few players to win a Norm Smith in a losing team. Losing team. So Nathan Buckley, the other one.
Yes.
But yeah, prime Judd.
Fair enough.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think if you were able to have both those guys in your team, I think anybody would have them.
Would.
Next one, prime Ben Cousins versus prime Dustin Martin.
Oh, tough.
That is.
Look, I think you said off camera, prime Dusty is probably one of the best big game, arguably one of the greatest big game players.
Or arguably the greatest.
The big game, yeah.
3 Norm Smiths.
That's good criteria for judging great players.
Yeah.
But prime Ben Cousins, the streets won't forget, man. There's that clip where he just went past 2 Adelaide players, bang, bang, and then made them look slow. Yeah, so look, for me...
I'm not going to lie, the service he was getting out of the middle by Dean Cox.
Unbelievable. Yeah, so
who we'll speak about in a bit.
We'll talk about Dean Cox. But yeah, prime Cousins for me, as much as prime Dusty did a lot for the game.
Yep.
And now next one, prime Nathan Buckley with prime James Hird.
Unfortunately, this is a bit of a.
That's unsupportive.
Hey, listen, I listen. Let's for a second just remove the teams. I'm going to be biased. I'll tell you now, but let's just remove the teams for the sake of the argument. I think they're both great players. I think what they both delivered, especially in a very similar time frame for football.
Yeah,
I mean, they were both kind of running 92, 93 start.
Yep.
They both retired, I think, around 2006, 7, 8,
that's
around
right.
that time.
Yep.
So, both great players, both put on a lot for both their clubs, even when they were in the mud.
Yeah.
But I'd have to go with prime Nathan Buckley.
Yeah, look, I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think
Yeah.
prime Buckley, again, just explosive.
Kind of like the Dusty and Cousins comparison, but Buckley had a bit more explosiveness to him.
He did, yeah. He was known for his training and his methodical in his training.
Very much.
Both coached their clubs as well.
I mean, one of them did a great job.
And the other one left in controversial circumstances.
That's when the drug scandal happened, yeah?
It did, yeah.
Yes. Yes, and then on the field, off the field, nothing changes for you guys.
There was rumours earlier this year that he might be coming back, but I think they were just rumours.
Maybe they should just keep him at rumours. We know what happened the first time round.
Leave it at rumours and leave it
yes. The next one is, I've got Prime Scott Pendlebury versus Prime Joel Selwood. Who do you got?
Both superstars, both champions of the game.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go Prime Joel Selwood. Just because Joel Selwood is a leader that you'll go into war behind. He's just a
gladiator,
just a
warrior.
Gladiator warrior.
Yeah,
you know, he's got the headband. He's always in and under.
Yep.
Just courage, leadership, all of that. Joel Selwood comes to mind. So Joel Selwood for me. Not to say Pendles is a bad player. I think you
can't take it
400 games.
Pendlebury. I think Pendlebury, just the way I think they both have the leadership skills.
100%.
I think it's just Joel Selwood is more like physical about it, like he'll show you, whereas Pendlebury's more verbal and more vocal about it, and the way he kind of, even now at his older age, the way he structures the team and gets people to move into their positions and kind of basically plays the role of a coach on the field.
100%.
But
can't go past his basketball background.
That too. The way he just turns everything into slow motion when he has the ball. Most definitely. What's the next one you've got
I've
for me?
I've got for you is two ruckmen. Prime Dean Cox or Prime Aaron Sandilands.
Saying two legendary ruckmen, I think we can say.
Yeah. Champions of the game.
I think I would go with Prime Dean Cox.
Yeah.
And the very reason why I mentioned that is the team he played in had Prime Chris Judd, Prime Ben Cousins, Prime Daniel Kerr, Adam Hunter, Darren Glass. Like, it was a stacked team.
It was.
And he won a BNF in the middle of all that.
Did he really?
He won a BNF in the middle of all that. So you imagine what output he would have had to put in. Not to take anything away from Aaron Sandilands. I think Aaron Sandilands is arguably one of the best ruckmen in the last 25, 30 years in the game, alongside Cox and probably Gorn now.
It would be, yeah.
But
tallest player for a
very long time too. Hailing from WA. But I think off camera you said a lot of the time the Western Australian players.
Yeah,
what were you saying?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of WA players get the plaudits that they deserve.
Yeah.
Matthew Pavlich is another one. He's a champion of the game.
Yes.
I feel like even Nat 5 doesn't get the plaudits he deserves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do feel that sometimes the players on the West Coast don't get the credits or plaudits that the players on the East Coast, especially in Melbourne, get. So
yeah, I don't disagree with that. But yeah,
it's good we're talking about two WA boys.
Yeah, they're both WA guys as well. So yeah, Prime Dean Cox for me.
Dean Cox.
The next one I got for you, speaking of Nat 5, Prime Patrick Dangerfield or Prime Nat 5.
Hey, look, I've given my plaudits to Nat 5.
Yep.
And I've given my plaudits to the WA boys.
Yep.
But Prime Dangerfield is just
Prime
elite,
Danger.
man. He was elite at Adelaide. He was so good at Adelaide. He just burst out of the middle and run forward and kick a goal.
Yep.
He kept that. He took that form to Geelong.
Yep.
He won a premiership at Geelong.
Yep.
He's got 8 All-Australians. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I think along with Gary Ablett Jr. and Buddy, they're the only players, if I'm not mistaken, that are on 8 All-Australians.
Wow, yeah. That's like at least half their career they were the top echelon of the game.
Yeah.
And the other half they were probably in the top 3 or top 4. So
yeah,
absolute stars. Not to take anything away from Nat 5.
Yeah,
2 Brownlows doesn't come easy. So
yeah,
and a close one.
Absolutely.
Patrick Dangerfield.
Yep. And then you have a very last one for me.
Last one. We're going 2 defenders. We're going Prime Dustin Fletcher compared with Prime Matthew Scarlett.
Oh, yeah, that's a big name. Some big names.
Big names, yeah.
I'd have to go with Prime Matthew Scarlett. I think the dynamic he brought to that Geelong player, like he was almost like in soccer they say you're like your deadliest centre back. Like he was the guy, the brick wall. In reference to the modern, Van Dijk of the Geelong defence for a very long time. Three-time premiership player.
The toe poke.
The famous toe poke that arguably won Geelong that 2009 grand final against St Kilda. I think, I can't go. Don't get me wrong, Dustin Fletcher was a 400-gamer, legend of the Essendon Football Club, 2-time premiership player. But I think Matthew Scarlett and what he brought to the game, some of the forwards that he played on.
Knocked out Hayden Ballantyne as well.
He did. And he won a BNF.
He did.
In a team that was Gary Ablett Jr., Joel Selwood,
What else do they have?
Tom Hawkins.
Yeah.
They had a stack of players at the time. Cameron
Chapman.
Ling. Yep, Chapman, Corey Enright, Joel Corey.
It's a star-studded Geelong team, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd have to go with Matthew Scarlett on that one, without taking anything away from Prime Fletcher. And the last one I have for you is two defenders again, but two of the more modern defenders. Prime Alex Rance or Prime Jeremy McGovern?
This time we're going to go with the WA boy, Jeremy McGovern.
Yep.
His famous mark against Collingwood in 2018.
We have to bring that up, don't we? You know what? Fair enough. I've been talking a lot of shit about
look, I think
the cartoons this episode, so fair enough.
The Carlton Football Club, but... Anyways, Jeremy McGovern, also shout out to Jeremy McGovern, retired.
Yeah, recently retired.
To concussion.
Yeah.
One of the legends of the game, and I think will go down as one of the great fullbacks, and is in this conversation with Alex Rance, Matthew Scarlett, and Dustin Fletcher.
Yep. Yes.
Now, I'm going to pose a question to you.
Yep.
Which three would you pick?
If we're picking out of all those players, that's... Brother, it's like taking a kid to a candy store to pick out of all these great players, three players. I'd have to say Buddy up forward, Gary Ablett Jr. in the middle, and you know what? I'll complete a spine. I'll pick Prime Matthew Scarlett down back.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's
I think that's a
any
very
team
solid,
would love that.
very solid spine.
Tough.
Brother.
Yeah.
Anybody would accept that right now in their team. But yeah, that would be my top three if I had to pick. And yours?
For me, I'm gonna go Prime Fev.
Yep.
Just it was a joy to watch. I'm gonna go Prime Judd. Yes, I'm biased. I don't care. I'm biased.
I mean, yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, Prime Fev, Prime Judd. I think they only played 1 or 2 seasons together.
Yep.
And I'm also gonna take Ben Cousins. I think
fair enough.
Judd and Cousins are just star-studded.
Hey, if you guys ever got Ben Cousins down to Carlton, you would have just picked a bunch of teammates.
We had Mark Murphy instead.
I mean, that's not too bad, but
it's not Ben Cousins.
That's not a bad 3 as well for you. But moving on, looking forward to round 16. And the first game of the round is Thursday night. The Port Adelaide Power versus
Navy Blues.
the Cartoons. The Cartoon Football Club down at the Adelaide Oval.
We'll give you a stat. I think we've won once. We've beaten Adelaide or Port Adelaide once at the Adelaide Oval, and I think it was late last year. Yeah, we beat Port Adelaide there, but I think we're going to bounce back.
You think?
I think so. I think it's just media pressure, all of that. I think when teams are under the pump like this, they'll bounce back, and I think we're no different. Port Adelaide haven't been travelling too well.
Getting bullied by 18-year-olds and say we're going to bounce back.
I disagree with
Mind you, Port Adelaide has to bounce back after they lost to Sydney as well, so...
Power are done.
But I disagree with you. Not only do I disagree with you, I said I wasn't going to tip Carlton for the rest of the season after what happened on the weekend.
Fair enough.
So I'm tipping Port for this game. And this is going to be I said it last week. This is going to be the start of your run this week to...
Not winning a game, isn't it?
We'll see how long it goes before it happens.
It's the start of a run where we don't lose a game, but we'll see about
he said that 2 weeks ago.
We'll see about that.
Friday night,
we've got the Swans and the Bulldogs at the SCG.
Ooh, that's a pretty good game considering the Swans got all their boys back.
They did, yeah.
They got Goulden, I think Mills, Papley. A couple of their guns have returned. So, as much as I would love to say Sydney might, I think they'll put up a great fight.
Yeah.
I think they might even make it a very close game. But I think the Bulldogs should get over the line.
Bulldogs, for me, I'll keep it short. I've talked about Sydney.
Yeah.
I think their stars will start to fire. They'll make their late charge to September. The Swans for me.
Fair enough. Moving on to Saturday, the first game of the round is... not the first game of the round, sorry. The first game of Saturday is Gold Coast versus Melbourne up in the Gold Coast. What are you saying about that one?
I think the Gold Coast are going to choke. I think they're going to choke, and I think they're out of the 8. They're going to remain out of the 8.
Yep.
So, Melbourne for me.
Fair enough. I think after the showing they put up against GWS last week, I think they're strong enough to win.
Yeah,
I think they're strong. They should win if they want to keep their top 8 chances and their credentials to play finals this year alive by any chance. So I'll have to definitely go with the Gold Coast up in Gold Coast. Yep.
We head down to Tassie, to beautiful Launceston.
Yep.
Lovely part of the world down there.
It is. You actually lived out there for a bit, didn't you?
I was down in Hobart. Funny enough, I know it's I did not actually go to Launceston once in the 2 years I was there, but I know it's lovely and spoken very highly about.
Yeah.
But the Hawks and North Melbourne.
Yes. What are we saying about that?
I'm going to tip the Hawks. They don't lose down in Tassie. And I'll leave it there. And also, North Melbourne can piss off.
Hey, can't hate the player. Hey, listen, hate your own team. I can't disagree with that. Hawthorn should get over the line in Tasmania against North. And their record there speaks for itself. So, Hawthorn should definitely get over North.
And our last game
of Saturday night, yep.
They got Collingwood and the West Coast Eagles.
1st versus 18th.
Yes, at Marvel Stadium.
I mean, are you waiting for me to tell you what I think?
You can go. It's your team. You can start.
I think you already know what I think or what I'm going to say. You want me to? Fair enough. Collingwood should have a picnic out against them. I think we have a couple of injuries. Hell, we might even rest a couple of players. We'll see. But Collingwood should cruise past the Eagles.
And look, an upset.
Oh my god!
And an upset for the ages.
God.
No, look, I'm doing this.
There's no way you're about to say what I think you're about to say.
Yeah, look, an upset for the ages. No, I'm kidding. I'm not doing that. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to tip Collingwood.
Unfortunately, it is unfortunate for you, but it is the reality of the situation.
Tempted as I was. I can't
Fair
do
enough.
that. We move on to Sunday.
Yep.
The Tigers and the Crows at the MCG.
Ooh, I think the Crows, they've proven themselves over the last couple of weeks. I think they've been playing really well. I think they had the bye last week.
I think so.
Yep. They've been doing a great job at, keeping their top 4 chances alive.
Yep.
Well and truly have cemented themselves in the 8 at this point, I think. So for me, even though Richmond put up a fight for the most part, I think Adelaide should get over the line easy.
Yeah, I'll keep this one short. I think the Crows will get over the line. I think that Richmond are getting a little bit tired now, back half of the season.
Yep.
That's that. We've got one more game.
Last game of the round.
And the St Kilda. The St Kilda.
I'll let you start us off on this one.
I'll keep this one short, really. I think the Saints have been ordinary throughout the season. I think they're sort of in a rebuilding phase, regenerating their list.
Yep.
Freo in WA or at Optus Oval, hard to beat.
Yep. I don't disagree with you. I think after what St Kilda did to Freo earlier this season at Marvel, I think Freo need to bounce back. And if they want to prove the Freo fraud claims
they need to
wrong,
show themselves,
they need to actually show up and play. They got over Essendon comfortably last week. They just scraped past North.
Yeah.
So I think it's time they strung a couple of games together and got over the line. So
I can't agree with you anymore.
Yeah, Freo definitely down in Perth. And that does it for this week.
It does. Another episode down.
Yes, we are. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
I know you liked it. I know you shared it. I know you subscribed.
That's it. We appreciate you guys tuning in and keeping up with our banter and our fun on a weekly basis.
Thanks for watching.
Most definitely. And take care of yourselves, guys. And until next week,
ciao.
Ciao.